That's where it all started. And then, but we always played our junior football in Lens, because that was the closest league that we could affiliate to in those times. It was complicating those times. We couldn't play anywhere like how we can play right now. We had to play in our lanes, you know.
Oh, what? Oh, based on the apartheid.
Based on the apartheid system.
Okay, Indians in your corner, blacks in their corner, whites in their corner, in their lane.
Very, very much so. However, I must tell you that I was exposed to the township at a very, very early age. When I say township, I speak of the black township. There was the colored township, where I was very often, but the black township I was exposed to when I was still at school.
Okay, so which gonna bring me to my next question. When did you start playing football competitively? When you started to realize, you know what, Gora Ibrahim is a top dog. He might as well take this football thing to another level.
So when we grew up, Sivanello, we didn't have many options like the children have today. Sport was very much something that was a pastime. It was a pastime that we put a lot of effort into. And then there was also our academics.
Exactly.
But when we speak of sport, we speak of, in the Indian townships, it was cricket and soccer. Perhaps in the black townships, it would have been soccer only.
Only, yes.
Soccer
Yeah,
only.
okay, yes.
So growing up on the dusty streets of Vereeniging, it was football. I come from a football-crazy family.
Yes, oh,
My
great.
dad was a footballer.
Oh, yeah.
And so he passed it on to us, and playing football through school. We enjoyed it. At some stage, you feel that, hey, you know what, I'm not too bad at football. Maybe I could just put a little more effort into it.
I might actually getting paid for doing what I enjoy.
Yeah, when you put it like that, when we look at the late 70s, when I was still in primary school, we didn't have the luxury of thinking that we could become full-time professional footballers, because that was not what South Africa offered.
Yes.
We needed to have a day job, and we needed to play football. So when we dreamt only of playing in front of large crowds, in front of massive crowds, and being acknowledged and being praised.
Yes.
That was our dream.
Money, pay a salary, earning a living out of this thing was not.
No, that at that time wasn't realistic. And also, when you think of in the 70s, Pelé was a great player, Garrincha of Brazil, Johan Cruyff. They were not people that we could identify with as we identify with Messi and Ronaldo, because they right in our spaces, in our living rooms. Our heroes were playing football every Saturday, every Sunday. Our heroes were local, hometown heroes.
The Chomosonos.
The Chomosonos. And also I must tell you, Chomosono, Asin Sulengwi, and Zakara Lyamola, you know those
yes,
guys, Balombo Lechaba. But also in that time, there was the Federation Professional League, which had great players. I'm speaking of guys like Bobby Solomons, Siraj Abbas from Lenasia. We had Terence Jivanathan, his brother Louis, Alan Munsemi. These were the guys that we saw every week. Going into the townships wasn't always possible. You know, there was always where they say the Swart Gafar, the black danger. So you needed to be careful.
Yeah.
However, I was fortunate to go to Sharpeville Stadium to watch Chiefs and Val Professionals.
Yes.
I can tell you the chaos on that day when I went there. I was only 11 years old when I saw that. And Valpros won 1-0. So that's when I was really exposed to the township. But I also came to Lens, and I saw a packed Lens with Louis, Ellen, Terry, Pega, James George. That was now in the other league, in the Federation League,
yes.
In the FPL League. Oh, those guys were as good as anyone. But they were not allowed to play against each other, which was sad, isn't it?
Growing up in Vereeniging, which any of the players that you played against when you were still lighties, 15, 16, 17-year-old, are there any soccer players that we can recall that you played against or played with when you were still lighties in your Vereeniging days?
So when I was 12 or 13 years old, I think it was 12 or 13, we had a team called Alikwan. It meant the Brotherhood of Men. In that team, myself and Neil Janssen played together.
Okay.
So Neil would then go to Valpros and then he'll go to Cape Town Spurs. But Neil and I grew up together. And as I grew older, went into the townships, then I was fortunate to play with Augustine Makalakalani.
Umthakathi, okay.
On
The Jomo Cosmos Makalakalani.
Long before.
When you were still lighty.
What was Tagati was as thin as a reed.
Sure,
He didn't have the bulk or anything. So myself, Neil, Tagati, and another good friend, Reynold Muller, we were very, very close, and we played a lot of we played a lot together. But when I used to play winter season, and in the summer season, when a lot of my friends started playing cricket, I would go into the township because football was throughout the season. That's when I got exposed to the township. But I want to tell you also, there was a game when I was playing for Transvaal Jumpers. I think I was in standard 9 when we played against Klerksdorp City. Klerksdorp City had the two cousins, Masinga cousins in their team, Philemon and Bennett. Philemon and Bennett. The two Masingas were in their team. And my good friend, Eric September.
Oh, it was the middle of September.
So, I want to tell you, if I just recall that game, we were leading 3-0 at halftime, and we were killing them. Because with me playing at centre back was Mabena Monogotla.
Oh,
and
Mabena. You teamed up with
Mabena and I, we around the same age. So we were all youngsters in the team. Tagati, his brother, who I feel was better than Tagati.
Tagati was also top-notch.
He was top-notch. His brother, Chipper. Chipper, if you're watching, you must forgive me. You had no discipline. If you had discipline, you would have gone as far.
That's it.
So that match, at the end of the game, we were hanging on 3-3. That's how those guys came back. Of course, in that match, Tobias and company, many of us would go to the NSL to play professionally, but we didn't know the talent in that game. So yes, those were the guys I grew up with.
So
many.
The first professional team that you played for, which one was it?
So when I started playing professional football, it was in the era of apartheid. So there we had the NPSL, which was a predominantly black league.
Yes.
Then we had the NFL, which was a white league. And then we had the FPL, the Federation. By then the NPSL and the NFL had merged. But the Federation was very, very strong. Vereeniging Old Boys became professional.
Yes.
And when Vereeniging Old Boys became professional, my coach, Dagi Karelse, gave me an opportunity when I was in standard 8, so grade 10. I just turned 15. He watched me training and he said, listen, and he called me up. He says, what's your name? I said, Mr. Karelse, my name is Ahmed. I wasn't Gora that time. I was still Ahmed Gora.
So Gora's a bit of a special name.
So I'll tell you. So he calls me up and he says, listen, don't you want to have a run with the big boys, with the professional team? Vereeniging Old Boys was a big club. They've just won the cup the previous year. So I said I'd like to. Who
will turn that opportunity down?
I trained for 3 weeks and then he gave me my debut in Northdale Stadium against
Northdale. That's Maritzburg.
Northdale is Maritzburg.
Yeah, Northdale. That's Peter Maritzburg.
So we went to Maritzburg and there I played against two of the finest strikers that I will ever play against. One was Keith America and the other one was Kelvin Peterson.
Oh, Umkhonto. The Bushbucks, Kelvin Peterson.
Bushbucks. And on the right hand side of that front trio was Mark Barkley, Delron's uncle.
Oh, Darren Barkley, the former German player. He played in Germany.
Yes,
Played for Bidvest Wits.
His uncle was so fast. They killed us that day. They destroyed us. But it was the first time that I played. I think we lost 4-1. And then a couple of weeks later, I made my full debut. A couple of months later, that was against was it Newcastle Dynamos? Cyril Nsele, no, Oscar Nsele, Cyril Masala, Samora Kulu.
Oh, the late Samora Kulu. I believe he played for Kaizer Chiefs, African Wanderers.
Samora Kulu was made in the Federation League. They come from Matadeni.
Matadeni, yes. I only knew Samora at Wanderers.
Samora was he was just a very powerful striker.
Yes.
You put it through and it ran onto it, and
you can say that
before he went to Chiefs, he was playing there. And those guys, Cyril, Oscar, and Samora, they were fantastic players. You know, Matadeni has a history of producing good players. That part of the world.
Yeah, they definitely did.
So Vereeniging Old Boys was my very first team.
Professionally. After that?
And then I went back to amateur because my studies was being affected. You know, I was also fairly bright at school. And I went back to amateur, and Vereeniging Old Boys sold their status. And in 1985, I came to Lenasia Bluebells. Here. Lenasia Bluebells, what an experience. This team was like no other team that I played for. They just created an environment where we were able to relax and play the best football. We didn't have to worry about anything else. But what made them also outstanding, if I compare them to many other teams, we were surrounded by legends. By that time, Terence Jivenetham, Louis Jivenetham, Ellen Munsami had retired, and Prega was my coach. They were all ex-professionals. These were legends that we hero worshipped, and now they were guiding us. Yeah. So at that time, Lenasia Bluebells was a very, very well supported team. We used to pack the Lenasia Stadium every week.
Was that also still in the FPL?
So that was in the FPL. That was in 1985.
So the FPL
that's now my first year at college. 1985. And of course we had a rival year in Lens was between Bluebells and Swaraj.
Yes, Swaraj United was also campaigning in the FPL.
They were also campaigning. Oh, they had good players. They had great players. And Bluebells, with me in Bluebells team was Tugs. Tugs is Tabo, Tagati. You know, I call him Tabo.
Augustine.
Yeah, we call him Tabo. That's how we.
I didn't even know his first name. My name is Augustine Tagati. I didn't know his first.
So him and Kanaga Naidu, Vincent Maketha, Reynold, Harun Muhammad, and Gary Munsemi. We had a great team. But so did Swaraj. Swaraj had a lot of good players. Most notably was Sugar Patel and Harry Patel. If it was just different, if the leagues were just merged, if we could just play against each other, I wish we could have at that time. They did not get the exposure that the other leagues were getting, or at least the NSL was getting. These guys could have played anyway.
After Lenasia Bluebells, then you moved to where did you move?
So I played for Bluebells for a season and a half, and then I was into my second or third year at college, and then I sort of had this craving to go back to amateur football. So I took my leave of Bluebells and I went back to Vereeniging Old Boys. And when I went to VOB, we played in an amateur league. I played in a township, and I sort of disappeared for about a year and a half, going back into the amateur ranks. And in 1988, in my last year of college, Swaraj went to the OK League.
OK League, yes.
And then I met their coach, Wowie Fredericks, here in Lens, and he said, "Come play for me." And I said to him, "Wow, I can't play for you. I play for Bluebells, and now I can play for Swaraj against Bluebells." No, I could never do that. It's like Chiefs and Pirates.
It's just one of those rules. You cannot play for both of them. Once you sign with this one, the other one is a definite no for you.
Definite no. So no, he says to me, "No, we're not playing in the FPL anymore. We're playing in the OK League."
And that was also national, yeah.
And then OK League, was the second division of
NSL.
Of the NSL.
Yes.
And there were great teams in the OK League. We had African Wanderers, Bushbucks, Valreef Stars. We had really, really good teams.
I think Leeds United was also there at some stage.
Yes. And then it was an easy decision. It wasn't easy. And we both, Bluebells and Swaraj, were still existing, and we both played from the Lenasia Stadium. And once again, I came home. When I say came home to Lenasia as where my club was based. So I know the Lenasia Stadium very well.
So how did your Lenasia Bluebells accept the news that you are playing for Swaraj? Didn't they look at, wasn't the relationship ruined somehow?
That's a very interesting question, because at the time when we're so young, we don't really think about the consequences of that. Even though when Wowie first said, "Play for us," the first thing I didn't want is to play against each other. So the fact that we were not going to play against each other and in two different leagues made it easier. But Bluebells are a classy team, classy people around. As fanatical as the supporters were, they were very understanding. There were no ill feelings at all. I cannot say that. We were playing in different leagues. We were playing in different worlds. Basically, that's what apartheid created, right? Different worlds. So we entered into a different league, and Bluebells never ever put me under pressure to say think otherwise. But I also maybe make the point that the federation, as good as the league was, we suffered from exposure. I can say I played professional football. But because the apartheid system condemned us to one corner and didn't give us the exposure was in the NSL. You can't get onto TV, you're in the NSL. You want to get known, you want to get onto a radio program, you had to go to the NSL. So when that was an attraction for me, okay, this is a stepping stone to maybe where I can be.
Exactly. And the marketing for NSL, who can forget it? There was a PRO there. That were the days of Abdul Pamji. Yeah. So he ensured that he put NSL in the map. It was on everyone's face. One just could not ignore NSL. That's for sure.
And Abdul Pamji also has a history of starting in the federation before he moved over to the NSL. He was a flamboyant character.
Oh, very flamboyant.
Charismatic. He could sell. He sold the NSL, and he sold many of us, and many of us wanted to be there too. And I was one of those. But maybe we must also speak of the political situation at the time. A lot of the players who played in the Federation League wouldn't play in the NSL because they felt that the NSL betrayed the principles of non-racial football, not multiracial football, non-racial football. And Federation always sold themselves, or always showed that part of themselves as being a non-racial league. Everybody was welcome there. But for what the NSL stood for, it didn't it didn't sit well with the principles of federation. But that is for another discussion.
For another day. That's a discussion for another day. So at Swaraj, you stayed for how long, plus or minus?
The longest I've ever stayed at a club, for 3 seasons.
That's long.
That's the longest I stayed at any club.
No, that's long. To be with the club, actually, that's what even the current players normally sign their contracts. 3 years, not more than 3 years. It's very rare you get a 4 years contract.
Yeah. So, but we didn't have it like that. We didn't have contracts and agents. So we signed at the beginning of every season. We'd signed a little NSL form to say you've been retained for the rest of the season. That type of a thing. But Swaraj, like Bluebells, very similar to Bluebells, looked after us. And it was easy to stay there. There was also another difference between Swaraj and Bluebells. Bluebells never had the finances, the resources to pay us anything. Swaraj did. When I went to college, obviously, when you're studying, money is hard to come by.
Exactly.
And I was living in Lodium in Pretoria, studying there. And Swaraj were able to give me a small salary, just something to keep me going every month. I won't even say salary,
Stipend.
just a little stipend to keep me
Stipend.
going. That made a huge difference. And so I went through college and I stayed with Swaraj until the next move came.
Which was to Dynamos.
Yeah, which was to go to Dynamos.
To Dynamos.
So
just park that thought, because that's
okay.
where things started happening. That's when we all started learning to know about Gora Ibrahim, especially at Dynamos. Just park that thought. Let's quickly go for a breather, and then you'll start talking to us and tell us exactly about your stay at Dynamos, because that's when the Gora Ibrahim that almost everybody knows in South Africa was officially launched at Dynamos. We seem to be having some technical issues here. More like it. Oh, that was Joe Mafela giving us Shebeleza Mama, Congo Mama. We are playing all the songs that were making waves back then in 2010 when South Africa hosted that 2010 Soccer World Cup. Today, it's exactly 12 years since we last hosted that tournament. Soccer Showpiece, a successful one to be exact. Time now is 19 minutes after 12 and we're still chilling with our guest, none other than Nangu Kora. Where's the Janu Kora? Nangu Kora. Kora Ibrahim. Yes! Yes, Kora. I wish Joe Hudler, the sports commentator that was saying that, I just wish he was listening and he just could call in and give that perfect one, because no matter how hard I try, I just cannot get to Joe Hudler's level.
You do very well. It's very good, I must tell you.
No, there's only one Joe Hudler who said that commentary so perfectly every time you were in possession. Nangu Kora, when's the Janu Kora? Kora Ibrahim, yes. Before we went for the break, you were talking to us about your Dynamos days. Let's get to Dynamos.
So there I was at Swaraj for 3 years, and then Gordon Edelston came to Swaraj towards the end of that last year I was there. And Gordon stayed with us for a little while before Gordon went to Dynamos as a coach. But at Swaraj we had some really, really good players, and I must make mention of a few. I think John Moeti was an exceptional player in the Dunga. And
so Dunga was at Swaraj.
Dunga was at Swaraj at the
time. And then you were teammates again at Dynamos.
And then we became teammates there again.
At Dynamos.
At Dynamos. But that Swaraj team was a really, really good team too, because in that midfield was myself, Harry Patel, there was John Moeti, and of course there was Angelo Burtz.
Angelo Burtz, yes. She's number 10.
Angelo was outstanding. So towards the end of that season, John Moeti, or maybe midway through that year, or maybe at the beginning of that year, I can't recall so well, Angelo and John goes to Dynamos, because Dynamos have now bought over the franchise of Arcadia Shepherds, or Arcadia Fluoride, or Arcadia Pepsi, I can't remember.
Yeah,
so they make the move. And I'm still at Swaraj. And we play a match one bitter cold evening against Cape Town Spurs here at Lenasia Stadium. And I didn't think I was doing too well. I didn't play centre back that time. For Swaraj, I played in a centre midfield.
At Swaraj, you know.
At Swaraj.
Anchor.
I played in the midfield. I was either number 8 or number 10. And I was playing there for Gordon. So, very different role from where I played at Bluebells and where I played at Vereeniging Old Boys. I really enjoyed that. And Siraj Abbas was my coach there at some point. And Siraj encouraged me to go forward. Look, I must share with you, one of my strengths was that I was very comfortable on the ball. I don't know what else I could do well, but when I had the ball, there was no real panic. So
midfield was your
in midfield. So midfield, you know, you action.
Yeah, you must be comfortable.
Fetch and carry. Yeah. You in the game pretty much all of the time. You're the heart of the team. So we play Cape Town Spurs here, and we lost 1-0. Yeah, it was a freezing cold evening here at Lenasia Stadium on a Friday evening. And after the game, as I walked off there, I was told that the Lenasia Dynamos management was there to run the rule over a few of us, and they told me in the change room that, look, this is your last season with us. Next year you going to Lenasia Dynamos. Not do you want to go.
Swaraj United management.
Swaraj United management, but not in a bad way. You know, in a nice way. They got the opportunity has come. It is you've got the opportunity to go to the next level of your career.
Show the white nose.
In a nice. It's what we all wanted to hear. And that was it.
And the good thing that you know that it's the management that released you, so you are guaranteed the relationship will not be ruined with Swaraj. They will be giving you that support.
Swaraj, Swaraj management, like Bluebells, like Vereniging Old Boys, or less so Vereniging Old Boys because I was still very young, they looked after us. They knew which buttons to press. They would speak nicely to us. Footballers, we like to be pampered.
Oh yes.
When we're not doing well, we like management to look after us. We need to feel special, and they knew how to do that. It was easy for me to take advice from the management at Swaraj to go on to the next level. Remember, the next level is something that I've always wanted. Everybody wants to play in the limelight, to play where the lights are shining.
Yes.
I wanted that badly. But when I went to the next level, I realized how different it was, how tough it was to play at the next level. Tough, different. The cultures of football was different. Where I was going was different to where I'd become used to, even though in the OK League we were going into the townships. But at Dynamos, it was intense. Everything was intense.
Pressure all the way.
And of course, I was not guaranteed a place. Nothing was really guaranteed at Swaraj because so many of us were fighting for a place. But at Dynamos, I went in there fighting for a place in the midfield. So then John was there already. Angelo was there. Robbie de Graaf was there from Arcadia. Trevor Poole was there.
Oh yes, Trevor Poole. Yes.
Trevor. Yeah. So
that goal poacher.
There are so many of us fighting for 2 or 3 spots. I was right down. I think I was number 6 or number 7 of the pecking order. I think Vincent McCrotty was also there at that time. It wasn't easy. At some point, I was thinking of throwing in the towel because I'd given up so much to go there. I changed my life to go to Dynamos. And when I say change my life, I was teaching in Vereniging. I took a post in Sandton, in Marlborough, where I live now. I stopped living in Vereniging. I then lived in town. I was between accommodations. I asked someone to take me in, went to school, had no car, would hike to training. It was tough. And then also, when you get to training, you just see these guys. There's about 25, 26 of them. There's Trevor Poole, Robbie de Graaf, Angelo Birds. There's Mark Batchelor, Max Maponiani came there. I know. You see these big names, and nobody knows you. Nobody knew me, except management knew that I'm capable of doing 1 or 2 things. But the other guys didn't know me. The white guys, Indian guys at that time, you could count us on one hand. There was 2 of us that went through, by the way, from Swaraj. I mustn't forget Dina Pillay that went with me. So the 2 of us. But Indian players in the NSL that time, there was just a handful of us. So to break through into that star-studded team, I didn't think that it would happen. But if we speak further, it happened in a crazy way.
Especially in 1991.
Especially in 1991.
Actually, that was the year for Cora Ebrahim.
Yeah, so I was a rookie, right, in the NSL. But even though I started playing in the Federation League at the age of 15, I was now 24 years old, turning 25, before I got the chance in the PSL. Oh, well, it was NSL that time, in the league that many of us aspired to be. Not everybody wanted to be there, where I wanted to be, but most of us wanted to be there. So it took a long time, and And the journey took many different twists and turns. But there I am now at Dynamos. I've left my home in Vereeniging. I have a new school. I'm living in someone else's house. I don't have a car. I'm sitting on the touchline maybe, I think, one evening. And Dynamos were playing 2 games. They're in southern suburbs, in Pioneer Park. We had 2 games. And Gordon Edelston, the first game, he had us all on the touchline. And he looked at the players, and we were short of quite a few because the Pretoria guys hadn't arrived yet. Alan Collicott and Kelvin Stevenson, Trevor Poole, Robbie de Graaf, and all the Pretoria guys hadn't arrived. So he says, guys, I'm looking for someone to play with, and his name will come right now. We need someone to play at centre back. Before he said centre back, my hand shot up. I said, Coach, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
We played. He played me centre back. He says, okay, because Gora is new in a centre back position. I wasn't new in a centre back position. I just played for the 3 previous seasons in a centre midfield position. And by the way, for Swaraj, I played right back, right wing, left wing. The only place I didn't play was striker and goalkeeper. So it wasn't a problem. So he says we're going to play the 5-3-2. I'll put so-and-so in front of you, and you can just sweep because you can play.
Yeah.
We played that game, and we did quite well. I thought I was okay. We set second game. Then we had everyone sitting on it. He made his team, and he said, Gora, do you fancy another run? I said, Coach, I'm ready. Put me in again that Wednesday night for the second game. By the way, if I just have to mention something, that was the night Mark Batchelor broke his leg in that friendly while we were playing, and Mark was out for quite a while. So I played in the second game, and then
defense again.
Defender, centre back, midfield, sweeping, doing my thing. And then Sunday, I was in the first team.
Wow.
Friday,
Wow.
at training, he called me, he says, Gora, you in the team? I said, Coach. He says, you in the team? Focus mentally, do
Condition
your preparation.
Yeah.
And against Wits at Lenasia Stadium, I made my official debut for Dynamos. There weren't many people there. Lenasia Dynamos were not Swaraj and Dynamos were not as popular as Bluebells when it came to supporters. But that day I made my debut. There were spectators there. I didn't care. I just wanted the ball. So our right back, I forget our right back. He used to play for Dynamos. He came with me. It will come just now. When he gave me the ball, I touched the ball and I knew, hey, finally, what a nice feeling to finally have made it, because it took many, many years of sacrifice, giving up all my home comforts, giving up my home, a new school, a new life, new friends, not being able to go out on a Saturday evening, doing extra skipping in the garage, running extra,
Yeah, it
doing
comes with
things.
discipline.
Comes with lots of discipline, and you feel a sense of achievement. That it didn't come easily. It's a really, really, really good feeling. And that feeling is a feeling that nobody can really take away from you, Spinello. Nobody can take it away. It lives with you forever.
Exactly. So that was Dynamos. Talk to us about 91 now, when you were all making the headlines. Everyone, every newspaper covering Gora, radio station covering Gora. In the townships, the players, youngsters, they were calling them, they were nicknamed the Goras of this. So 1991 was the year for Gora.
I was lucky at Dynamos. that I played with some really, really good players. As a centre-back, I was playing behind Mike Lambert.
Yes.
Mike Lambert and Calvin Stevenson was playing in front of me. And Stuart Johnson was on the right-hand side. That's the name I couldn't get. And then we had John and Angelo in the midfield. And Marks and September up front, Eric. So I was surrounded by great players. Really, really great players. But what made it easy was these players didn't put pressure on me. Management didn't put pressure. I came with a different style of playing, with my own style. And I remember after the Chiefs game, when we played here, Max Maponyane came to me. We were up against I was up against Fanny and Shane. Even though we lost 1-0. They were really a lethal combination.
Yeah,
we lost 1-0. And Mark said, "Gora, can I give you some advice?" I said, "Sure, Marksy." We used to call him Maffa. But I never called him Maffa. He was always Marksy to me. I said, "Sure, Marksy." He says, not after the game, I'm sorry, it was in the week. He says, you know how Marksy talks with that voice. My wife says she was watching the game. I said, okay. She says she noticed something about your game. I said, okay, Max, tell me now, it's your wife. Maybe it wasn't his wife. Maybe he noticed it. He says, when you're in possession of the ball, don't be in a hurry to get rid of it. It's not a hot potato.
Hold it.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Can you hear what I'm saying? That is the type of teammates I had. So in that framework, in that environment of Dynamo's management giving us what we needed and the players giving me the support.
Freedom, the support, everything.
I flourished. I had a coach who believed in me. Easy to become my own person, feel my personality grow, feel the confidence. And then as it got better, so we go to Free State Stars or Kwakwa Stars, and there you're up against, I forget his name right now. But every team had great players, and now you become more comfortable. You play against Shoes, for example, for the first time, and Shoes is very good. You play against George Dearnley, for example, and you realize the second or third time you play against them, they're not new to you anymore. Chippa is not new anymore. He's dangerous, we all know that, but you also have that capability. You need to back yourself, and you have management that backs you, and the players that back you. And all of a sudden, you think of yourself on an equal footing with them. The player I'm thinking is Roger Lupia.
Oh, yes.
Roger was hard running, but the first time I came up against Roger, I easily understood what Roger was trying to do, and I came out sort of on top. But there were many others. So then you don't see yourself as an inferior, right? You see yourself as an equal, and with your players. And then things start happening, and you can't control it.
Then it became a star. Let's quickly go for a breather. When we return, we will be talking Orlando Pirates days. Let's talk about Ababakania.
abone ephule ke nangelisalaphana ke emuva ke manje ke nangilaphana ke manje lapho umfana omncane ke elifundisa nenkundla ke lokuyena lapha unyasha ke umunetsi selingapha kunyathama ke abone lotshe ulotshe kuyingozi ke ekuleli suku uyagijima nangu futhi ulotshe kwesokunxele abone lapha ke ulotshe ukuthi wenze njani ke nangenikeza uJustin abone Shonga nangu Shonga ke manje ke elibuyisela kumayela ke nangelizwe unyathama ke
And they are jigging already because we've got the former Buccaneer himself in the house in the form of Nangu Gora. Gora Ibrahim is in the house. We're still chatting. He's our guest today. If you want to send in a message, you're more than welcome to do so on 07 333 934. You can send us your WhatsApp voice note on our studio WhatsApp line. That's 07 333 934. Nangu Gora. Gora Ibrahim. Yes!
Thank you, Subhanile.
Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, so there and then 1991, 92, I am at Lenasia Dynamos and I really hit the heights when I became, especially 91. I'm JPS star up against Shoes Michelle. Wasn't new to me. Shoes and I played against each other at amateur level when Tugs and Neil and myself were together, and Shoes played for another amateur team. So. At the end of 92, I was selected to be a part of the pre-national squad. We were not known as Bafana Bafana. It was a South African pre-national squad. There were 42 of us that camped at Helderfontein.
Who was the coach?
Palacios.
Augusto.
Augusto was the coach.
Jenja.
And Shakes was the assistant.
Shakes Mashaba.
Shakes Mashaba and Brafel Setsedi.
Oh, Jones.
Two assistants, yeah. Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, yes.
So, two assistants.
A former Pirates himself.
A former Pirates himself and Shakes.
Oh, yes.
And Shakes and Swaraj. Shakes was at Swaraj too. Oh. So, we both played previously at the same team. So, at the second week at the camp, we camped for 2 weeks. And Phil came to tell me that, look, I think there's a deal has been made between Pirates and Dynamos.
You are in the Bafana camp at that time when you had the news.
But not official.
Not official.
We pre-national. So we 42 of us. So they were going to trim us down to 24. Unfortunately, I didn't make the 20. Didn't make the cut. But it was a good feeling because Pirates were not the only ones that were after me. I also know that we got a firm offer. It was in the newspaper, in the Sunday Times, when Kaiser wanted me, myself, Benjamin Reed and Shoes to join because they were now going to play in Africa for the first time. Yes. I thought I was going to Chiefs.
Maybe your heart was Chiefs. Where was your heart?
So, Roo was also good. Roo was Lucas was not playing centre back, centre sweeper.
Yeah, he was.
Lucas was still destroying.
Yeah, I remember. So from the Bobsol days. And
yes, he was still young and he was still running and closing down people. So I know they wanted me to come in and partner him, play behind him, and I know Kai Kapakai was on the right hand side.
Yeah, Tim Cool, yes.
Trevor was
Tim Cool, yes.
Trevor was there, and the other side was Gardner, and there were two of them. And
it was
Insi and Gardner.
Yeah, it was the end.
It was the two of them. So I thought I was going there
to Chiefs,
and then I was told I'm going to Pirates. I must be honest with you, Sibunielo, I was not excited.
But going to Pirates?
To Pirates.
Yeah, man, I was not excited about going to Pirates.
No. Let me put it in context for you. Pirates were always very disorganized. Yeah, there was fighting
yes.
behind the scenes.
Yes. The
You never
ownership.
know who was in charge.
The ownership.
Ownership of the club, and then the spectators. You know, the ghost. Hey, the ghost. Hey, sometimes the ghost caused havoc on the grounds. You know, when Pirates lost, especially. So when they said Pirates were not the organized Pirates that you know them now.
Yes.
Now they're a slick professional outfit. But that time, we were very much, and I say it, and I don't say it with disrespect, very much a big township team with a massive following. I didn't realize how big Pirates was until I went to them. So I thought I was going to Chiefs. I ended up at Pirates. And in that time, once again, I changed schools and I get married at the end of 92 and I go to Pirates. So Pirates was another world, right?
A different world.
It was a different world. We play our first, my debut, not official game, sort of a friendly. We played
match.
against Jomo Cosmos. The crowd, the people, the madness, and we destroyed Jomo.
Wow.
You know, in front of me was Tso and Bazooka, my two good friends, late friends,
Yes,
and
yes,
Bash on the
Nix's
one,
friend.
Bash on the other side.
Jersey number 13.
Bash on the one side, and there was Gento and Pio
Pio
and
Nkwero.
Etienne in Sunda.
Oh, Mvumbi, from DRC.
From DRC.
From DRC, yes.
And with me was Shoes Lashozi.
Tough.
Ronnie Zondi was still there going up.
David Nyat.
David Nyathi, Opa Mabuza.
Oh, yes, that was
And
the Pirate.
That was once again I just moved into a new world. A world that I thought I knew, but it was crazy. The spectators, I've never experienced spectators like the Ghost. They loved us.
The passion, the cheers.
They loved Pirates. They cried for Pirates. That feeling for a club, winning and losing, how it mattered to them. One of the things that made me angry, I don't think Pirates at that time appreciated that type, their supporters, the players. We didn't appreciate
the fans.
The fans, the sacrifice the fans made
The
to come to
passion.
the ground. The ululating, the whistling. Hey, we make a mistake. Sorry, Gora. You
are the darling of the fans.
I've never understood that type of adulation, praise, as it was then. At Lenasia Stadium, you could see the spectators there. At FNB, if you're 80 or 90,000. Everybody is just so small. We try not to look at the crowd because it affects us, right? The manager says, Jeff Hudson was our coach, he says, don't look at the crowd, just concentrate on the game. How can you not? You come out and there is, what's the name? Jabulani.
PJ Powers.
PJ Powers. Jabulani.
Jabulani, yes.
And she's singing and we're running out in the speakers. And we just run out of there. We just run straight to the Ghost. Behind us is Chiefs. Hey, we don't even look at Chiefs. We just run straight to the Ghost and we make our sign. And of course, when you do that, all of us do make the sign. You can't even hear yourself think.
The adrenaline kicks in.
It is, once again, I find it hard to describe that feeling when you're there, that experience of having 90, 80, 90, 95, I don't know. At some point they lose count because there's 10,000 people. They say outside trying to get in. The aisles are closed. People are sitting on the top of FNB. There's some on the touchline.
Surely at that stage, the FNB was taking up to 100,000. If you consider all those people that were not accounted for.
Not accounted for. It is. So it's Sibonelo, it's madness.
It's madness, passion. Yeah, but that's what you need.
We
as
love
a player.
it. It is as a footballer. That is the madness you live for. You want You need to experience it as a footballer.
Jesus. So if you haven't been to FNP, you haven't been in a derby and in South African football, surely.
So that derby, that when we won the Iwisa, we won it for the first time, because Chiefs used to dominate the Iwisa, and in '93 we 2-0 up
Against Kaizer Chiefs.
against Chiefs, and Chiefs come back, and how they come back! Hey, they come back strongly. At 2-2, they hit the post, and I just say, today is our day. And of course, Bazooka scores the winning goal. Right, Sens goes down the wing, and Aubrey clips the cross in, and we score the header, and we knew then it was our day. That's the first time we won it. And then maybe a month later, we win the BP for the very first time. So we were on a high.
BP top 8.
BP top 8.
So that was definitely your, because surely a BP top 8 was coming straight after.
Straight after that.
Yeah.
But we were not allowed to win the BP top 8. There in Durban, we 3-1 down against Jomo Cosmos. Hey, Chris Makapuki was killing us.
Yes.
Chris, and there in the midfield, was it Sister Monica?
Yeah. Just number 21.
They were killing us. They 3-1 up with, I think, 15 minutes to go when Pirates came back, and we won the game 4-3.
Okay. I think that my producer is telling me that time is against us. But I've got some couple of questions that I wouldn't be doing justice to the listeners if I do not ask you these questions. So I'll just have to quickly run through.
Yes, please ask.
Indian players, white players. Just go back to Thursday. We saw Bafana playing. There was not even one Indian players. There was not even one white player. White players, Indian players in South African football have completely vanished. What should be done? What can we do to get our Indian players back in the fold, white players back in the fold?
So, Sibonelo, there are lots of Indian players and there are lots of white players. I think Indian players, especially amongst the parents, our values are different. We choose the academic route, but not all of us are like that. There are players with lots of talent. But they don't go all the way to the top. There's a lack of role models right now. Yes. You know, the Gora Ibrahims, the Zain Musas, Guna Towers, Deshis. They aren't there, so they cannot aspire to someone who looks like them, who comes from their own background to be there. Is there talent? Are there talented players amongst the Indian players in around South Africa? Absolutely, because from the culture that the Indian player comes, the colored player comes, the black player, the white player, each one brings a different part to the game. They bring a different quality to the game. So, do they have the capability, the ability? Yes, there is. I don't think we often ask the parents ask them, why are the players not playing at the top? But parents don't always decide that. I think maybe we should pose that question perhaps to SAFA. Exactly. What are you doing to attract Indian players?
That was going to be my next question. Is SAFA doing enough to market the game, to put the game out there, promote the development, everything? Is SAFA doing enough to ensure that the game is marketed enough?
No, I don't think SAFA is doing enough. I think SAFA has become more of a political organization, and I say it with honesty. That's how many of the ex-professionals feel. They have an NEC. It's like the ANC has an NEC. They become untouchable. You know, you need to go to many layers before you get to the top. They're in there to save their jobs. I think Danny should have gone a long time ago.
Danny Jordan, yes.
Danny Jordan, somebody else should be, and there has to be a relook of the whole system. But Indians, whites, and the colored players, not so much the colored players, because we have representation. They're passionate about British football, English football.
Yes. Your Man City, your Man United, your Liverpool.
We can get them to be passionate about local football too,
but
they do not feel part of
the responsibilities lying with
SAFA. SAFA needs to do more.
Oh, Gordon, last question. You've played in the professional arena. You've played in the for the Indian teams. You've played for the township teams. Talk to us. There's always been this discussion about Moti. What is your take? Have you encountered any Moti practice in football?
So, players won't openly speak about the Moti practices, but it's
as individual.
And I
what
speak
about the club?
and I speak generally from the clubs that I've been to, both amateur, at Transvaal Jumpers, at St. Patrick's, at Orlando Pirates, at Rabali Blackpool. It is very much a part of the culture of the club to bring in Muti. And did I experience Muti practices at the clubs? Absolutely. we did some things that if I have to experience, tell you just some of the things. I think it was at Pirates when we
surprised
in the middle of the. We were at the Ilangeni Hotel in the middle of the night. I think we were called in. We had to have a cold bath. We in this thing, and then it was at Pirates. If you look at my kit, in that photograph that you have of me when you are marketing this thing, my kit is not clean. It's got black marks on it.
That was
they took our kit the night before. It was freezing that day, and they give us that ice cold kit which is wet. The guys didn't say anything. I understood.
Yeah,
I understood the practices because, like I say,
it's something that's done in Africa.
Oh yes, and it's a pity we didn't get a chance to speak to when we went to Africa to play against Kano Yaoundé with Pirates.
But this is not the last time you're coming here. I'm still going to be having you here.
I look forward to that.
It's not the last time time is against us. It is our enemy this time around. Before I let you go, Kora, tell us, where can our listeners get hold of you? Social media handles, are you available on social media? How does one get to engage with you on social media platforms?
So, Spenelo, I've got my Facebook page, and I have quite a nice following of friends who I follow and they follow me. So, Kora Ibrahim on Facebook.
Yes.
And also, what I must share with you is that I've written my autobiography.
When is it coming out?
It's coming out in the next month and a half. So we're busy editing right now with photos of Pirates, of Saints, of hopefully I'll get one of Transvaal Jumpers, of Bluebells, of Swaraj, of all the teams that I played for from young right up till right now. And so we're busy putting it together. And I'm hoping that a lot of the questions that people have, because I've been quite a controversial character, as you know. I thought we didn't come there. And
I owe it to the listeners to bring you back, Kora. There's too much to talk about, and if we didn't come, time is against us. We need more time. I will definitely bring you back on this show. I have to bring you back.
Siyabonga Sibonile. I feel great to be back.
Thanks a million. And that was Kora Ibrahim, the former Orlando Pirates star defender, Dynamos, Leneza Blue Bulls, Bluebells, Leneza Bluebells, and Swaraj United. Time is not on our side. That's our biggest enemy. I guess it's time for me to laugh and leave you, but I'm leaving you in the warm and capable hands of my colleague Jacqueline Friedman, who will be bringing your money works. That is from 1 o'clock till 3 p.m. Let's do this once again next week Saturday between 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. From me, Sibonelo Ngobo, it is adios. Bye-bye.